Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw that as per Veda Vyasa's advice, the Pandavas moved back to Kamakyavana. Arjuna took adieu from his brothers and wife Draupadi. He started traveling northwards. This terrain was all too familiar for him. He had traveled in those areas during his conquest for Rajasuya Yajna. But his purpose this time was different. He was looking to get the Pāśupatāstra from Bhagavan Shankara. He headed towards a mountain called Indrakila, which was in Himalayas. When he approached the mountains, an ascetic stopped him. He told him that Arjuna cannot carry his Gandiva bow and his arrows. Arjuna stood his ground. He said, "I'll need to take them with me." At that time, the ascetic showed his true form. He was none other than Indra. He blessed his son Arjuna for a successful penance. He also told him after that he should go to Indraloka to get the rest of the astras from Indra himself. Arjuna made a Shivalinga. He performed intense austerities and penance to the linga. He would not eat or sleep. He continued doing his penance. Bhagavan Shiva was pleased with him. When he decided to give the Pāśupatāstra to him, he came down to Indrakila with Parvati, but then they both were disguised as a hunter and a huntress. At that time, a Rakshasa named Muka took the form of a boar. He started charging at Arjuna, who was praying. Arjuna instantly took a bow and arrow. By the time he could shoot him, he saw the hunter also running after the boar. They both shot the boar at the same time. Both of them started claiming that the boar was their hunt. A fierce battle ensued between the two of them. The hunter seemed to be very calm and complacent, but Arjuna was losing steam. His quiver that would never be empty of arrows suddenly became empty as well. Then he said, "The only resort for me is praying to Bhagavan Shankara." He took a flower garland and garlanded the linga that he had created. But suddenly, the garland that he offered to the linga appeared on the neck of the hunter. Arjuna immediately understood. This hunter and the huntress were none other than Bhagavan Shankara and Parvati themselves. He told Shankara that he had identified the hunter, Kirata. He said, "Please give me the Pāśupatāstra, I know who you are." Bhagavan was pleased. He gave him the Pāśupatāstra. He taught him how to propitiate the astra as well as recall it. He told him he could use the astra only when he absolutely needed it. He said the astra was so powerful that it could destroy the entire world. So he needed to be careful when he was using it. After that, Arjuna asked Shankara to show himself and give darshanam in his true form. Parvati and Parameshwara gave darshanam to Arjuna in their true selves. Arjuna was ecstatic. Arjuna was horripilated at seeing them both. He prostrated to them again and again. At that time, Bhagavan Shankara told Arjuna that he wanted to test the adhikaritva of Arjuna. While giving an astra as powerful as Pāśupatāstra, he could not give it to an evil person who was selfish. Hence, he wanted to make sure that Arjuna had the capacity, the qualification to own that astra. Shankara advised Arjuna to travel towards Indraloka to get the rest of the astras now. After that, Bhagavan Shankara disappeared. Arjuna was still horripilated and elated. What are our takeaways from the story? In descending, we rise. When we descend from our high pedestal of arrogance, we rise in our stature. Humility is the only way to advance and better ourselves. The way to make ourselves better people is being humble. Prowess is great, but when we come across somebody who is better than ourselves, it is better to acknowledge their skill and applaud them for their knowledge. When we put the knowledge ahead of ourselves, we become humble. Arjuna did exactly that. He did not brag about his prowess. When he saw that he was not as powerful as the hunter, he surrendered to the Lord. He asked Lord Shankara to help him. That is when Bhagavan Shankara revealed his true self as well. So humility is very essential. Another thing we notice is that control over the power we have. Adhikaritva is essential. Too much power with an evil-minded person can only lead to destruction. Hence, Bhagavan Shankara wanted to make sure Arjuna was an adhikari to receive the Pāśupatāstra. This is something to be mindful of when we are in powerful situations or positions, whether physically, mentally, emotionally. Power should not get into our heads. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om!